And now we wait. Wait to see if the stream begins.
It started.
I'm receiving the green light. Hello, people of Post-Apocalyptia? Is anyone out there?
No.
No.
Nobody cares.
No. Let me make sure that they can hear you guys too. Keep talking.
Meow.
Okay, I'm getting waveforms. Yeah, we can't do that again, where it's just me talking and then everyone's not hearing the other side of the conversation, like it's a freaking someone hearing someone's phone call from across the house. It's freaking damn it. I've never gone back to that because I can't imagine how cringy that must sound. All right. Hello, anyone out there, Post-Apocalyptia. We are doing things a little bit early this weekend because...
Yeah, it's Hamilton ass.
Yeah, and also because I leave on Monday for 5 weeks of road trip, so Sunday is pretty busy for me as far as packing and crap. So, how is every pony doing out there? How are you guys doing, in the general sense?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay, and Needle silence is deafening, so we...
I'm getting comfortable.
I know.
You didn't give me a chance to, like, set up my pillows. I'm starting now.
Good morning, Wendy Crescent, in the comment section. Yes. Yes, we still have the fantastic Wasteland Survival Guide as our latest one, Chems, so that's sweet. You know what's funny is I actually number those internally, like, based on the releases. They do have numbers, but obviously we don't publish them outright because it's because we're going to rearrange everything at the end based on thematics and chapters and such. So it's sort of like a chronological thing, but then at the very end we'll have a whole new order to it. That's a similar process, actually. What was it now? Holy cow! 18 months ago, when we released the big Stable Tech Fallout Equestria soundtrack album, it was a lot of rearrangement too, and figuring out what a good essentially what a good listening order would be. Because by the time we were releasing that, I'd given up on hope of the series, and it was like I was hoping like 1 or 2 episodes might happen, but at the very least, I wanted to present the soundtrack in a way like people could get the idea of what I was hoping to put into it if everyone stuck around. So that was special. But oh yeah, Hurricane Harvey is going on. Anyone in the Gulf, be safe, be careful, because yeah, hurricane season sucks. I remember in Virginia, before I was moving back, it was like early October, and we had one good hurricane right at the end, so it's like all the freeways were blocked off, and we almost had to get evacuated, and luckily power held. I was surprised by how good Dominion Electric actually was, so thank goodness for that.
I think they're better than Edison up here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Starts
California
snowing
has
up
surprisingly shitty power, even though we have, like, almost no weather conditions. It's stupid. Stupid ridiculous. They gotta turn on Rancho Seco again. That would fix the grid. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, everyone out there, as you can see at the top, I try to make it as clear as possible. We are going to be discussing Confession 6 and spoilers, and also Q&A. This is everyone, all the listeners' chances to ask any questions they might have, or to live comment, or, you know, say how much they prefer the Duchess horror. So we are open to anything. I'm here to serve, and like I said, I'll be gone for like 5 weeks, so I'm not sure how consistently I'll be on anything else in the next little bit. I guess to start, we could talk about the recasting, since we have our new lovely Duchess here with us now, Miss Needlestitch.
Hello.
There was essentially here was the scenario: is we were this is actually around the same time period as we released the album for the soundtrack. This is February 2016. Was the time I was getting going on the script for Confession 6. We just, I just finished up the script for 5 and started with 6, and, of course, this is when I'm still waiting painfully to release episode 4, and, I had talked to both the original cast members for the Duchess and Dr. Greenshift, because I already knew I wanted to bring them both back. This was like a really big, fully encapsulating thing, and we'll talk more about all those later too. But unfortunately, and I talked to them, and I made sure I explained to them the exact amount of reading and recording they'd have to do, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. And I checked in every couple of months and just made sure, no, if a person in the comment section, this is going to be pretty full Confession 6 spoilers, so you, oh shit, 1 second.
Yes. God be with us.
I was like, you're starting to have a generator.
Bay to you too.
Okay, that was exciting. I'd like to apologize for everyone. My laundry machine almost exploded.
Good.
Jesus. Okay. It's going to be one of those days. Woo! Yeah, so just, again, a fair warning. Everyone should see at the top the, there will be spoilers this podcast. So, you have been warned. Anyway, yeah, so I kept checking in with the original VAs for Duchess Rose and Dr. Greenshift, and I'm like, hey, is this all right? These are they knew the exact amounts, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be around here that we're going to be it's around here that we're going to be, doing the recording and everything. And then by the time the script was finished, like episode 4 had gone out, and about this time last year, maybe October, gave them the finished script and like, all right, guys, we're ready to go. Let's start recording. And I didn't hear much. And of course, this is during the whole transition when when we were moving to create EAST Corp and breaking away from the Stable Tuck studios. And then, yeah, so I was just waiting, didn't hear much back. And then I checked in, a month or so later around Christmas, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And just got like 1 or 2. I did get responses, but they weren't very filled with confidence kind of responses. And then essentially in January and February, we released episode 5, I almost said the Rancher. The Ranger. And I had to check one more time, and they did not, it did not work out. So they both essentially gave me radio silence, which is pun intended. And it's just, yeah, I think they're both essentially done from the fandom. They both saw that, our stuff anyway. They both saw Stable Tech just crash and burn, and maybe didn't have the time or busy with their own lives. So that was sad. It was unfortunate. I was really hoping to keep more of the original cast. We've had to do some recasting for those that remember far back. We had a different homage at the very beginning, and that was short-lived as well. But yeah, so we did some internal recasting, and I took over for Greenshift, and our lovely Needle Stitch took over for the Duchess.
Yay!
Yes, and she's
doing a very
I'm the
good
one
job.
who is replacements.
No, she did a fantastic job, and it was mainly just trying to recreate the right EQ conditions, because I'm like 2 softwares later now, so I was like setting up everything again and making sure that it all sounded good. So we're it's exciting. Now we have obviously dependable characters in myself and Needle, so hopefully maybe we'll see more of them again. Who knows? You guys can pipe in anytime. I'm essentially giving a behind the scenes of the entire episode if otherwise. So
Okay, actually, one quick little thing. Shout out to Yoshio, one of my good friends who's actually gotten me back into writing. Thank you, man.
Nice.
Best friend.
That's always good. I remember I had a professor in college who was talking about like writing and stuff, and just doing a little bit every day for practice and just to get better for just writing in general or any kind of writing. And I honestly actually do largely credit her for helping me to write more consistently too, and eventually led to all this crap. So it's
Cool.
it's done something. Oh goodness. Yeah, so that's sort of the backstory of the recasting, which is I think it turned out well because I mean, of course, it's the writing at the end of the day, but yeah, it's just unfortunate. I'm really hoping we won't have to recast anyone else going forward, but we'll see what happens. I've said before, I'll finish the series if I have to do all the voices myself. So
I'm just gonna quit, and you can recast literally all of your projects.
oh my god. Let's not. Yeah, Needle holds tremendous power now. Fantastic.
Got this company by the balls.
Nice. Horse balls. Yeah. So, are there any other questions from the peeps out there? Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling. See, I mentioned Rancher. There's some place to start. I mentioned Rancher because the character Ranch Horn, who is of course orange. For anyone that I'm not sure how much people would pick up on it because I tried to be subtle enough, but it's like
Does ranch dressing come out of her horn?
it was his, but no. Well, that's
His horn is even better.
Yeah, that's even better. No, it's actually the whole episode is actually a lot of Vietnam War motifs, as indicated by the music as well. So Ranch Horn is actually a pun of Ranch Hand, also known as Operation Ranch Hand, which is when we dumped like 100,000 tons of Agent Orange on Vietnam. So that's that subtlety there.
I'd be surprised my grandfather was a part of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hostile with me.
No,
All
it
I
was.
have to do is say, Vermont, I want to do this, and he'll let me do it.
Fantastic. Consensual Agent Orange application. See, I get confused too because there was a lot of classical. A lot of the Fallout Equestria has like World War II motifs also, or Fallout in general, which is like the opening of Fallout 4. A lot of World War II motifs, and so another major orange thing from the wars is napalm. For anyone that doesn't know, napalm jelly is like this really like bright orange, like it looks like a toy from the 90s, but it's this horribly hot burning like sticky substance that they just you mix it up and pour it in a barrel and bada bing. So that was that was inspiration for all the plots and themes of the episode, is this like chemical warfare and the chemical core and everything, and just how crazy some of that stuff can be, and the idea that every like person, every like group was trying to find their own magic key, their own silver bullet for solving the end of the war, and this is while the this is while the mega spells were going on over here and other stuff was going on over here. So that's why I really tried to get across.
Actually, a little bit of history lesson, but napalm would be considered the predecessor to the ancient Greek fire that no one's been able to actually reproduce to this day.
Yes, no, the history of Greek fire is very fascinating. And for people that don't, haven't read up on that, it's heavily inspired by it was heavy inspiration for the wildfire in Game of Thrones, with very similar properties. Where, the legend was they could mix the stuff up and just burn ships on the water, and it would form a layer on the water and just keep burning and burning until it burned itself out, and everyone that fell in.
Napalm.
So it's, it's very fascinating, that kind of ancient warfare, too. Yeah, so it was definitely a big episode. It actually wasn't I didn't intend it to be that big originally. I never intend for the length of any of these. I just write them like I take the approach to writing, and then whatever length they come out as, they come out as. So for instance, that's why the I almost said the rancher again. The ranger was significantly shorter than, well, relatively shorter than episode 4, because it's really just the whatever the story is to tell. So,
Yeah, you let it go until it reaches its end.
yeah, because I never want to leave things out, and it's more important, especially to make sure every story point, every loose end is wrapped properly, unless it's some kind of future hint or foreshadowing, then it's that it hangs properly. So, yeah. Let's see here. What else to talk about?
We could talk about the eclipse.
Oh yeah, that seemed pretty fun. I saw a lot of great pictures on social media and stuff.
I watched it on NASA TV.
See, I live right in the area of totality.
I was gonna say, yeah, you probably got a good view of it.
I did. So my friend Simmel, he came from Seattle to come and visit for a few days, and we we drove about an hour south of Portland to this little town called Lafayette, and we were Lafayette is right next to McMinnville, and they're right in the area of totality. So we get there and we start setting up, cameras and everything because he wants to record the whole thing.
Nice.
And we realize that we only have 2 pairs of glasses. So he takes a pair of glasses, and I hold my pair of glasses to the camera, and I just stare at the screen the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
And then as soon as it gets completely dark, I take the thing off of the camera, and we look at it, and we're like, oh, that's so cool. And then on our way back, it took us an hour to get there, but on the way back, it took us about 4 hours to get home.
Because everyone else was leaving too.
Because of the traffic. It was so bad. So we ended up just I took his camcorder and I just started filming everything.
Oh, nice.
I was tempted to get out of the car and just walk, because me walking would have gotten me home faster than being in the car. It was really cool. And then the night before, I had Dusty Cat over.
Oh, fun.
Cool.
Because he was making his way up to BronyCan.
Yeah, up in Vancouver. Is that this weekend that's going on?
Yeah.
Fun.
Nice. I swear, one of these days I'm going to make it to one of those cons.
Yeah, cons are a great time. They're it's a whole its own experience for sure.
Yeah. Last Saturday, I performed a wedding.
Fantastic.
Oh, cool.
That was part of the reason why I could not be a part of a podcast. Part of.
The
other part was I had gotten into a car accident, so I nearly fucking died.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
That was great. Though I found out that we hit the former governor of Oregon.
Interesting. That's
who had gotten fired because he was stealing money from the state.
Oh, that's even better. Yay. Did he get recalled like freaking Gray Davis did in California?
Oh man, it was so funny because Kenzie came over because I had left the plushie parts for the Patreon plushie that I'm working on. Mm-hmm. I had left him at her house, and so she's like, oh, I'll bring him to you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So she brought him, and she's like, yeah, by the way. I was like, what? Guess who we T-boned? And I'm like, who did we T-bone? The former governor of Oregon who got fired for stealing money from the state.
Fantastic. My
insurance lady told me, and I was like, oh, jeez. Now I don't feel so bad about T-boning him.
Yeah, that reminds me of in Virginia. They were I'm not sure if he went to jail, but one of the old Virginia governors was getting going through trials and stuff when I was living there. So it's every other week was some more news about and then there was this changing of hands of money, and I'm like, oh my god. So that's fun. Yeah, it's always nice having a little small world moment when you're car accidenting someone.
Fucking right, dude. Like, real talk, I literally could have died. Like, it's not just me being over dramatic. We almost went over one of the bridges in Portland.
Dang.
It was
Oh
terrible.
man.
Well, we're glad you're here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah, cars are no joke. It's
Big time.
very dangerous.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Especially when you don't secure things in the back of a trailer.
What?
Especially when you don't secure things in the back of a trailer. About 10 years ago, almost came close to getting killed on the highway. Some
Jesus.
moron didn't have his metal secured in the back of a tow trailer.
Oh god.
Hopped out, hit the road, came right at us, turned to avoid it, then it came right back at us. Literally did a 360 trying to avoid the dang thing.
See, yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
just sorry.
No, you're fine. That's kind of what happened to us. We were cut off by someone,
Ooh.
and so Kenzie had to swerve to avoid that person, and we ended up turning 180 degrees to the side, and we skidded for about, I want to say maybe 30 feet, and then we drove full force forward into an SUV. And, like, had we not hit that SUV, we would have gone over the bridge.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh man, scary.
Yeah.
Ooh, chills.
Well, yeah, no, it's whenever I think of things like that, I always go back to frickin' Final Destination 2. That actually really messed me up in the sense that I hate following trucks or trailers at all. I always try to speed ahead of them and get around as much as I can, especially on the rare occasions you actually do see a log transport truck. It's like, no thanks, I'm good.
Fuck that shit, I'm out.
It's probably because I saw it when I was 7, so it wasn't the best time, but I saw a lot of extreme movies when I was young.
That's part of the reason why I don't drive now.
Yeah.
Is because of Final Destination.
Yeah. What's even funny is it's just like Final Fantasy, where it's like, well, not necessarily, but it's like, oh, it's the final destination, except there's like 5 of them. So it was not really the final destination. But of course they mean death, which is also not necessarily the final destination.
Yeah.
I really hope I get to come back as a freaking it's freaking horse. Just like you reset in different
I want to be a horse.
What religion is that? That would be awesome. It's like, oh no, I'm back in the fucking Harry Potter reality as a muggle. Gotta try again.
Gotta try again.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of what Wiccan is. Like, that's what I am. I'm Wiccan. But, like, that's a very dumbed down version of what happens.
Yeah, it's more getting into like what is it, freaking fiction kin, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, I self-identify as Sherlock Holmes. Like, wait, hold up
Jesus.
now. I'm not sure how that works, but you know, best of luck.
See,
to you.
they don't identify as Sherlock Holmes. They have headmates who are
Schizophrenia.
Sherlock Holmes. Huh?
Schizophrenia.
Essentially, that's what it is. They're like, oh, I'm not crazy. I just have headmates, and my headmate is fucking Thor or Loki or Sherlock Holmes.
See, I do sometimes get concerned about like the big pharma industry, but then I come across enough people that really seem like they need more pharma that I'm like, I'm split on the issue. So I don't know. Maybe we just need like bulk lithium. There's a lot of lithium in I think the Dakotas. We could dig up some there. Anyway, yeah, no. Final Destination is fun times. Speaking of T-boning and crashes, I'll just keep steering the conversation back to Confession 6 because why not? It's
I got some of the dark
Speaking of
stuff here.
T-boning, let's try to figure out how this will fit Confessions.
absolutely no the big the blimp crash in chapter 3 or whatever it was. That was another thing I was really really excited about was finally like sort of bringing back the blue the Blue Moon class air balloons and all the good EAST Corp in Mare Islandy goodness. So hopefully, longtime fans enjoy that.
Action, it did.
Yeah, because actually, I mean, I swear, when I did the Blue Moon parody song, I always had in my mind about using it as a template for a future person involved with it, and I thought that would be really neat down the road. So it's long-term planning. It's all the little coins in the cookie jar. So
Yeah, big time.
And there's still a lot of stuff like that in the stories that are just waiting to be developed. So that's yeah. I really try to make them so that like you want to go back through at least one more time to like catch something else or like look for like the pieces building up to something, like in Duchess Horror where it was the whole little scene about the one candle in Harpsichord's room, and you're like that was a random scene. It's like where you think you saw a candle on the other side of the room, and then by the time you get to the end of the story, you're like, oh, that's why the candle was there. So yeah.
Actually, it was kind of cool in that story on how you put in there that the zebras actually developed a tow missile. Those ones are pretty cool.
Hello? Yes, I'm here.
That scared the shit out of me.
Like, oh crap, what happened?
It was my alarm waking me up saying, "Hey, the podcast is going to start in about 10 minutes." But no, Skybolt decided to start it early.
Sweet. It has just begun. No, the tow missile thing was something, obviously it's like enchantment based, where it's like, magical heat seeking or whatever, but that was something I was trying to figure out like the best way of like a secret weapon, and I was thinking, what's a really good anti-armor type thing from, not necessarily that day and age, but it's like tow missiles are kind of a crazy thing, especially since the Gulf War. There's some crazy videos of tow missiles going into like Abrams tanks and other tanks. So yeah, it's there's a lot of dead tanks around the Middle East. So I just thought that would be like, it'd be a neat like something reasonable within the context of the story, and then kind of the setup of the whole Northern Crystal Commonwealth, which is just like, of course it's just a play on like all the other Commonwealths, Capital Wasteland and Mojave Commonwealth and stuff. So I thought that would be neat, especially because Equestria is this sort of just like slowly expanded empire. It's like they combine 3 kingdoms, and then they just like, as you hear more and more, they just soak up one area or another. So then they take up the Foggy Isles, then they take up all these other places. So celestial
absorb
autocracy
it via osmosis.
Yeah, it's not unlike the Russian monarchy, I guess. Just in bigger and bigger land. What was I gonna say now?
Needle Stitch is awesome.
Needle Stitch is awesome.
Yeah, see? No, I'm kidding.
We just don't want you to die, mainly. Just please don't do that.
Yeah.
No, dude, like, I definitely had, like, I guess, like, a little bit of an existential crisis.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I guess. Like, so, after the accident, I'm sitting in the car freaking out because I had been in an accident before, and so I kind of had a little bit of, like, violent war flashbacks going on.
Yeah.
And then after I calmed down, I tell Kenzie's mom, I was like, hey, I need to get out of the car. Like, I need to just stand up and breathe and just get out of the car. She goes, okay, all right, okay. So she helps me get out of the car, and I'm standing there, and I look over the bridge.
Oh.
And I freak out again.
Yeah.
And I lay down on the road. I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm done. And she goes, we're alive. We didn't go over that. We're alive. And I'm like, but we could have.
Yeah, bridges and tunnels, you gotta be really careful. That's could spell the end.
At the end,
It doesn't even matter. Oh God, that's another potential sad story. We'll breeze past that.
R.I.P. Chester.
Yeah. It's yeah, so damn it, what was I gonna talk about? I had like a whole bunch of like confession stuff I was going to discuss. Like finally, after freaking year and a half, I could like get all this out there. I guess going back the crossover, like I said before, for those that remember, I was the writer of the stable for the first episode, Dose, Stable 81. So yeah, Pinkin was like my character, and I really wanted her to be potentially a bridge between the two stories, and I talked to James about that, and it and I thought that would be a really neat way to like start tying the universe together. There's a lot of little bits like that, like in Wasteland Survival Guide, we have the celebration episode, which it was a little bit of like convention fodder, but it was also a way to tie that into Confessions, and hence all of our stories being in a neat little corner of the universe. So
yeah, that was definitely a really cool touch.
yeah. Oh no, someone I warned there is spoilers.
Pinkin was in Terminal Secrets. You didn't listen to Terminal Secrets?
Yeah. Probably didn't get to that point in the Confession series, but I mean, there's no excuse now. I left the spoiler tag at the top corner there. It's so obvious to see. I'm very sorry if you get spoiled, but I've done everything I can to warn people.
Yeah. People are the ones who tuned into this.
Yeah, no, it was mainly I wanted to make sure our patrons on the podcast, like Snowfire, had already heard it. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have talked about it. But it's like, at the same time, it's been so long, and this is probably my last chance to do it until, oh God, maybe October, first week of October. I'm gone so much of frickin' September. This is ridiculous. I'm going to be out of state like 4 times. I'm gonna be freaking exhausted, but that's what caffeine is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, so before you even see, you have that big reveal in the third act of like, oh no, Elf is Pinkin. It's the there's a lot of little subtle references to Dose. Like there's that scene where they're in the laboratory and they mention the not cyclotron, frickin' damn it, what was it called? The blood spinner things, and that was another
centrifuge.
Centrifuge, that's it. Yeah, and of course that was a major scene in the original Dose, talking about separating the blood plasma and everything. So that was a little hint. All the medical themes in general, was a little hint, and yeah, I really hope hope people pick up on those or, had fun with those. It seems, based on the comment section, that a lot of people were very genuinely surprised. So that was definitely what we were going for a really good reveal.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to go back and listen to all of those over again just to pick up on any hints.
Yeah, no, I try to make it fun for, people going back through it. And, yeah, I didn't want to make the same mistake that so many movies do in their marketing, which is like they blow their own spoilers in like trailers. Like I remember someone talking about, and of course is an infamous movie for many reasons, but in freaking Star Wars Phantom Menace, the one of the early big theatrical trailers for Phantom Menace, they show the second side of Darth Maul's lightsaber in this really obvious reveal shot. And it's like, then you watch the movie and they carefully conceal that for a good hour and a half. And I'm like, why the hell did they put that in the trailer? It's so damn dumb. So, I don't know. Especially a lot of trailers do that. You gotta be, if you really want to see a movie and you're going to see it regardless, hide from the marketing because they will blow the whole movie for you. Or like Batman versus Superman, they're like, by the way, Doomsday. Like, wait, what? Or by the way, Wonder Woman. Both of those should have been hidden, hidden facts.
Oh, yeah.
But no.
Yeah, actually, my one of my uncles on my dad's side of the family worked in Hollywood and did a lot of those trailers. She was
Yeah,
still around.
and I
About
mean,
that
you know,
stuff.
it's hard because, like, of course, the trailer people, it's usually a second company, and they're just like, you know, get as much buzz for the movie as you possibly can. And there are studies where it's like, it doesn't really dissuade people to get spoilers from the trailers, but for those people that really care about the actual plots of the stories, that would dissuade you, or at least, like, you know, it spoils some of the magic. So,
All right, you want to talk about movies that have trailers that are better than the movie?
oh, where are we going with this?
Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer was fantastic. The movie was made like the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have heard those stories about how they hired the same trailer house to do a whole cut of the movie, which is why the whole first, like, 30 minutes of the movie feels like one big movie trailer. And then the second half of the movie feels like Fant-4-stick. Oh, man.
Suicide Squad. The movie makes me so salty. But I love the movie and I hate the movie. And, like, everybody I talk to about this, they're just like, oh, how could you like Suicide Squad? That's my impression of Skybolt, by the way.
Okay. It's not sexy enough.
But they're like, oh, it's so bad and everything. And I was like, yeah, but you can't take it as canon. Because if you take it as canon, you're going to be disappointed.
Well, that's another development, is that apparently DC doesn't take itself as canon anymore either, because apparently the new The Batman movie with a competent director named Matt Reeves, who did the last two Monkey Planet movies, it sounds...
That sounds racist.
There's rumors that it's not going to be within the DC Extended Universe canon, and it won't star... I almost said Christian Bale. If only these still starred Christian Bale. It won't star Ben Affleck as Batman. So everyone's like, "What the fudge? Are you giving up on it?" Which is a possibility because of how badly they fucked it up. But
yeah,
it's like BVS. They ruined like 5 really quality comic storylines all at once, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? And then same with Suicide Squad. They ruined the Joker, and they ruined Harley with a bad introduction, and then they ruined the two of them together in this like really weird, sick way. And it's like, I don't know. It's like too many people took away from that they have some kind of like hot topic relationship, and it's like, no, anyone that knows the Harley character, it's like, this is not a relationship you want to emulate. Holy cow.
I guess with me, when I go to movies that are similar to that, I think of, well, take Transformers for an instance. I think of the Michael Bay Transformers as its own universe, separate from like the canon, from the cartoons from the 80s.
Oh yeah, no, I've gotten much better at partitioning ever since growing up in a world, growing up in this horrid world of remakes and repackages.
Actually, something kind of funny. I was watching a movie last night, Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15, and my mom comes in. She goes, "Hey, wait a minute, pause that." So I pause it, and come to find out, part of the scene was actually based off of the Alabama Hills. Like she had worked with Square Enix for a little bit on that.
Oh, interesting.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me, Mom?" I said, "Okay, I thought you were awesome before, but now you're really awesome."
Yeah, I've heard good things about those animated Final Fantasy movies.
I love them. I've played Final Fantasy since like high school when my friend and I played. I mean, we'd come after school, we do our homework. He'd come over and we'd just sit down at the TV, play it for hours until one of our parents said, "Okay, gotta go home and time for bed."
Yeah. Yeah, that's endlessly exciting too, is the fact that they're, the Final Fantasy, and there's like over 20 of them now.
Actually, a little bit of history. Sorry about dropping all this history stuff.
No, go for it. Go crazy.
The original Final Fantasy meant to be the Final Fantasy game because the original director, Squaresoft, was basically circling the drain at that time, and that was basically their last-ditch effort to make money for the company.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was basically a hit.
Yeah, no, and that was before they merged with Enix then, right?
Yeah, this was like way back in like the original Nintendo era.
Dang.
Yeah, thank G4 and thank Tech TV and for playing Icons so many times, so I got to watch them a lot.
Yeah, and now it's like, you know, one of the main pillars of JRPGs out there.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, you know, it was essentially a spin-off series, but Kingdom Hearts almost... I mean, Kingdom Hearts is like the Fallout Equestria of the Final Fantasy universe, where it's like, it was a little spin-off side thing, but it's got its own massive fandom and, you know, base and whatever to it.
Yep, I can easily hold my hand up and say I'm a part of that fandom as well. I mean,
I never
that's kind of what helped me
to
learn to read.
Oh, interesting.
Well, because, I mean, well, I was going to come out and say, when I was in school, I was basically diagnosed with ADD at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I guess not typical to all the school systems, but schools here in Bishop, the teachers never really, pardon my French, really gave a damn about their students. We were all nothing but a paycheck to them.
Yeah.
My final year of high school, I actually had a teacher, or at least when I got to high school, I actually found teachers who wanted to teach us, and then I got a really good teacher my last year, and I mean, I think my read these books and stuff online and this
Keep
thing. Like,
cutting out every other word.
Yeah, we must have a spotty connection. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, keep going. I think hopefully that works.
Yeah. Anyway, that was mainly it. This like my last year of high school. I was graduating 2001. Like I can finally read. I can enjoy. Kind of why my room is just filled with bookshelves and manga and other comics. Books. But I mean, I still enjoy the audiobooks these days. I mean, heck, I started in 1995 with first Rogue Squadron audiobook, and I still have my original Sony cassette Walkman that still works.
Oh yeah, no, those were much harder days for audiobooks, which is why the phone, you know, the smartphone revolution was so great for audiobooks, because now people can listen to long form stories much easier, and you're not carrying around, you know, a whole book of CDs or cassette tapes, because I had some of those, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's how I first. I'm not sure if I've told this story before. Our first, we got a little package of like kind. You know, I referenced them like gas station cassettes, but I think we got them from like a bookstore, and it was for road trips. It's a little batch of like I think 6 tapes, cassette tapes, and there's just like a collection of shorter stories. And one of those tapes had like 4 Lovecraft stories, and that's where I first got into like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, and it was the Dunwich Horror. So I got to listen to that and Yog Sothoth and all that good stuff.
Cool.
You know what's funny? I'm not sure how true it is, because I know a lot of people are fighting for it, but I think most of Lovecraft's work actually falls into the public domain because it was written before 1929 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's been, well, the copyright law, it's like 20 years after the author or singer-writer has passed away is usually when it becomes public domain, I think.
Unless it's Disney, and it's like 150 years.
Yeah.
Which, can we talk about the height of irony in that Disney, which became big off of essentially just animating classical fairy tales? I mean, these freaking old stories that are so deep in the public domain, there might as well be legends, and it's like, you know, it's kind of, it's a little bit hypocritical, let's say. In my opinion, is all the like when a work becomes, you know, public or publicized or published or whatever for money, for like that, the copyright should only last to the death of the main artists, and I'm not sure if there'd be a legal term like maybe like the prime artists, and then once they're all dead, then it's public domain, or or 50 years. That was my other thing. It's like that or 50 years. So it's like right now, for instance, let's take early Beatles, Twist and Shout. By this point, that should be public domain because it's been 50 years, even though Paul and Ringo are still kicking. That's just my opinion, because copyright has gone too far. And I think that's part of the reason why we have so many terrible remakes and everything, is just because we all have all these studios that essentially are just sitting on these properties. I mean, Fox, every single Fantastic Four movie since the one in the 90s that was never released was essentially made so that Fox can hold on to the copyright, to the rights to make that as a movie, which is bullshit, because now they've made 4 very subpar Fantastic Four movies, even though that was essentially, they're the forefathers of the Marvel universe. They were the first real comics that got Stan Lee and was it Jack Kirby going. So it's like, I don't know. It's they got to reform copyright to encourage creativity, because at this point it seems like there's just stagnation on all fronts.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true on that.
I don't know.
Hold on, get back.
The old days, copyright was very different. I think I'm right about this, in that the original copyright law was, it wouldn't be Victorian, this was way before that, like early 1800s, like right around the time that Frankenstein was getting written, and at that point it was just like 20 years. I think it was 20 years, because... well, probably at that point, that was probably like the rest of the author's life, you know? They write it in their teens or 20s, and then they die in their 40s. Yeah, so that's something that definitely... And I mean, think of, you know, luckily, like, theater or, like, major productions aren't too tyrannical with enforcing it in certain areas of, like, fan fiction, but it's like, think about if companies were more litigious, and it's like as soon as Final Fantasy, damn it, Fallout Equestria, like as soon as K-Cat started publishing, like maybe month 4, like she's barely a quarter into the story, and she got immediately hit with copyright strikes from Hasbro and Bethesda, and shut down Fallout Equestria before it even got its legs. Can you imagine how sad that would be? All of, you know, her story, and then every derivative work off of that, including all our stuff that got cut at the knees because they were that litigious. It's like, I don't know. It's too much power. It's too much centralized power over something so essential to the human condition, which is creativity and artwork. And it's like, I don't know.
I was actually talking with Somber about this, because, like, he was ranting about the new Star Trek, like Star Trek Discover or something like that.
Oh, the new TV show?
Yeah, I don't really know. But he was ranting and raving about it, and he's just like, Stitch, I could do this so much better. And I was like, so why don't you? Like, write a fan fiction. You're a decent author. I mean, fucking look at Project Horizons. And he's just like, yeah, but they would CD me so fast it's not even funny. They don't allow fan fiction, period. I'm like, that seems a little bit ridiculous.
That's actually the height of irony, too, because Star Trek was the host of, like, the original modern fan fiction boom. It was in the 60s and 70s. A lot of people writing Star Trek fan fiction, especially a lot of slash fiction, because, you know, Kirk was such a man whore. He was going around the galaxy spreading the Federation.
Spreading seed.
So that's peak irony, actually, if Star Trek's become that hard on, you know, fan fiction, since that was one of the major starters. I mean, that, and then of course Star Wars. You know, everyone knows that then the semi-licensed expanded universe was essentially like, you know, organized, centralized fan fiction, which is why it got a little bit crazy there at the end. Which is, I don't blame Disney for not wanting to start over. I blame Disney for then literally rebooting the universe with frickin' Episode 7. So that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll say this right now. I will never ever think of the expanded universe as Legends for as long as I live. I mean, I grew up on expanded universe myself.
Yeah, and it's like, I haven't actually read any of those books, but I had a friend who was a massive expanded universe fan, and I've played like games and I've read them, you know, the different articles. And from what I can tell, the Dark Empire, or whatever the original, 7, 8, and 9 books were, with the Jaden Solo and all that, it seems like a much more competently put together story than the actual damn movies. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's just remake the original Star Wars, but just, it's just kind of whatever, mix up some stuff. It's like everyone gives George Lucas shit because the prequels were, it's like poetry, it rhymes, but it's like episode 1 had a lot more original ideas put into it than frickin' The Force Awakens. It's ridiculous. So I'm just hoping that episode 8 has a lot more originality put into it. And it's like Rian Johnson is a good filmmaker, but he didn't write all of the story either. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it myself.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he's going to see it because it's Star Wars, but anyway.
Of course, I grew up on Star Wars.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I still have, actually, the last non-special edition VHS from, I think it was 94 or whatever, just the last set of normal VHSs before George Lucas started with his tinkering.
Actually, a friend of mine, oh man, he's got literally an original episode for VHS.
Nice.
And this was before any of the digital remastering was done. I mean, I haven't actually seen it, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s when they started with those. I know they had, I think the highest quality one, I don't think they put the original versions on the Blu-ray package, but like Laserdisc. A lot of people have a Laserdisc version that's like the highest quality you could get at the time because it was such a weird, sort of almost tertiary format. But yeah, so Confession 6 because we don't have too active of a chat today either, so we'll definitely remember
because
this.
most people fucking left because spoilers.
I guess so. Yeah. So I'll just keep going then. We've already gone this far.
We can talk about GOT.
Oh yeah. Game of Thrones has been going good. We still somehow have Jon Snow not dead, despite his many fuck ups over the course of the series.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, I read an article. I forget who published it, but it's like, yeah, Jon Snow in any other set of circumstances, he really would be dead in the Game of Thrones universe. He's made more bad mistakes than the other Starks, and the other Starks are all dead, Robb, he made the one mistake of actually marrying for love in a medieval context, which is so stupid, and he got killed for it. And then, of course, with Ned, right at the beginning, it's like no Stark rides south and lives, and he's like, I know, actually, I'm going to go anyway.
I'm going to stop you because you're wrong.
Okay.
Robb did not marry for love. Okay. He slept with the chick and got her pregnant and felt bad.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's showing he's taking responsibility.
I mean,
yes, but in that time, it was better to just have a bastard than betray your ally.
Yeah.
Good point. Like I said, I've never watched Game of Thrones. I don't understand this stuff.
Yeah, either way,
but it's the same for like any medieval context though. Like it's not even just Game of Thrones. It's better for you to have a bastard than to betray your ally, because he promised to marry one of the daughters of his ally.
Yeah.
And he didn't do that. And he pissed off his ally. And so his ally fucking killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like he should have...
You dishonor my family.
And he should have known better, because it's like the phrase... I mean, his mom told him about how screwy the Freys were and, their various dealings with Riverrun. And it's like, we're like, 4 seasons in retrospect here. But it's like, he had a really good chance. Like, they controlled a lot of the North, and they had a lot of standing armies. And then, they fucked it up, and then the frickin' crazy-ass Boltons ran roughshod on the North for a while until they finally got conquered. And that was only by the grace of the Vale and the Knights of the Vale. So now Littlefinger's got his little fingers up in everything all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's either this week or next week's the season finale, and then the final season 8, like every episode's going to be longer. It's going to be like, I think 80 minutes for each or something like that.
Why?
Because I don't know. They should have just like stuck to the 10-episode format then if they were going to screw with the time period or the time code.
Game of Thrones the movie.
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially all, like, almost movies at this point. They're very cinematic. You just put two together, and if they weren't so, sequentially dependent, you could essentially make them movies.
So, have you seen the new episode, Sky?
I saw last week where, I'm not sure what level.
With the Durgan?
Yes.
Yeah. So, real talk, I thought that the Ice King was going to have, like, a whole new Durgan. So there was going to be 4 Durgans.
Oh,
but
no.
It made me sad. I was like, no!
Yeah,
you can't get a Durgan this way!
He just Control-C, Control-Vs, and now it's his Durgan.
But, like, a friend of mine was like, yeah, but he doesn't talk, so he can't say Dracarys. And I'm like, I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm just surprised by how immediately impotent they made the dragons. Like, I get the fact that you can't make them look like these all-powerful beings. Like, first of all, they did get almost, made extinct before anyway, so it's like, obviously they're not totally invincible, but it's like both ways, like, just a single kind of spear to the chest was enough, and I just, like, I don't know, especially between the Jaime's army and their crossbow, and then the Iceman, javelin. It's it kind of felt like they cut the dragons at the balls before they even like had a lot of cool scenes. All we've seen really of the dragons is like 1 or 2 good, like, kind of fire blasts from afar, like either mowing down ships or mowing down armies, and I feel like they never really put them to good use until immediately giving them like major hindrances. I don't know.
I think it's because, like, up until this point, they haven't really been big enough to do anything.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're younger dragons.
Because, like, it wasn't until last season when Daenerys was finally able to ride one of them.
Yeah, until it was finally big enough.
So they haven't really been able to do anything. But, like, the real war was supposed to start when she came to Westeros, and she's finally in Westeros, so that's the reason why, like, they're fighting now. And they just kind of got thrown into, like, every single fight because Jon Snow was like, help, we die, and somebody called Daenerys.
Yeah. Also, why do they think...
aunt to save me.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing, is how slowly the White Walkers are taking to actually get past the wall, which is another thing. They've never actually crossed the wall proper, because the wall's got enchantments under it. And it's like, the point where, like, Jon Snow, he could have been fortifying, I know the problem was he had to fortify the wall and have a standing army on the south, so freaking crazy Cersei doesn't start marching up. But it's like, I don't know. It's, shouldn't have gone into battle himself.
They just don't have the manpower to do both.
Yeah. Shouldn't have ridden south to the frickin' Daenerys by himself. And so now, of course, it's she's a good queen because she didn't kill him.
Well, he had to ride south because he had to get the dragon glass from under Dragonstone.
Yeah. That was confusing.
So he had to do that. But, like, I want to know where the fuck all that dragon glass was when they were fucking fighting the White Walkers.
Yeah.
Like, I realized they made, like, a dragon glass hammer and a dragon glass, like, sword. But, like, why weren't they making dragon glass arrows and then just fighting a vantage point and shooting them down?
Yeah, I mean, one good archer and, a couple big bow, or, yeah. Was it? Yeah, I mean, that you could have done some real damage there.
I'm guessing dragon glass is like a dragon killer type weapon.
It's obsidian.
Yeah, it's just obsidian.
It kills White Walkers.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. I still don't know what the whole end game is going to be either, because Game of Thrones is infamous for bad endings. So I don't know. I did originally want to see Jon Snow be the ultimate survivor, victor, but it's like he has made so many dumb decisions. I'm not sure if he deserves to live either. I just don't like Daenerys.
Nothing.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm team. Maybe I'm team like everyone dies at this point. Just the White Walkers take over, or maybe like right as soon as the White Walkers are about to win, then there's like a surprise doom of Westeros, like the doom of Valyrian, and just like completely resets the board. Or hell, Littlefinger. I mean, Littlefinger, he's actually like planning and conniving and like whatever, and like I don't know. I really don't know who I want to win now. I have no real allegiance to any of them. Which is probably good, because they'll probably all die anyway.
Yeah. I'm team Arya.
Oh yeah, Arya. I would like that. Yeah, Queen Arya. She seems most deserving of all the main characters. Yeah, Queen Arya, and then frickin' Tyrion. He can have Casterly Rock. That'd be sweet. Have we really only been going an hour? Damn.
Got nothing to fucking talk about because you started early.
Well, I honestly expected more questions in the chat about confessions and stuff, but whatever.
Told everybody to leave who hadn't watched it yet.
I guess, but I assume the people that were here would be still pretty good, but whatever.
That day.
I guess so.
But still, definitely enjoying this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I guess
sitting in silence is so much fun.
Well, we normally... I know one thing for sure is we didn't always do a weekly podcast either. Maybe it's about time to go back to like a bi-weekly podcast, save up more stories and information and people to talk with.
Which is probably what we should have been doing since we have more patrons. We need to get through the other patrons before we start recycling them. Not saying that you're recycle over there, Snowfire, but
that's okay.
We need to get the other Patreons on too.
Well, we already have like 5, so we're going to change the parameters of the context where it's like just anyone who's like. Of course, we'll make sure everyone gets a podcast per month as much as we can, but we're probably going to have to start doubling up because we have more people than weeks in a month now. So we'll definitely talk to all the patrons about that and make sure everyone's happy with a decision whenever we come to it.
Blah. Blah, 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 blah. My wife is currently sleeping there, Samuel. She's sleeping.
Oh, yeah, Oakard. It's got to be, like, frickin', I don't know what time it would be over there. It's only, like, 9 or 10.
Yeah, but she just worked a 10-hour shift, so she's tired.
Okay.
She told you that.
Okay, I forgot.
All right. Yeah. Let's see.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, let's see.
So is that it? Is everybody done? We ditching the podcast?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like 2.
Unless anyone else has any questions or topics they want us to talk about, to patron favorite game series.
Oh, I would say RPG is one of my favorites.
What is it?
RPGs, role-playing games.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a series.
Oh, series. Shoot.
Final Fantasy?
Yeah, I'd say Final Fantasy #1, and then Halo #2.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Halo's always fun. Yeah, no, I know. I'm not. I've never been really an RPG kind of person in the general sense, like a pure form RPG. But that's all I always loved about the Fallout series too. I felt like it blended RPG and shooter really well in terms of fun and playability. Because I'm also not like a shooter purist either, like one of those freaking Call of Duty or like CS:GO, like hardcore sniper types, and I'm like, no, I'm only moderately good at shooters from my Halo days, so I just want to have fun with it.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a hardcore gamer. I mean, the most hardcore I probably ever did in gaming was probably the Halo 3 days. I really tried to climb when they first rolled out a rank system, mainly because I wanted to get like as high a rank as I could, and I'm pretty sure I reached Captain, like level 2 or something, and then that was about it. So,
yeah, with me, I just play them for the story, just enjoy them because I mean, multiplayer is fun and all, but oh, you run into so many jerks on there sometimes.
Yeah.
You run into children.
Yeah, that stereotype, that goes back a long way. I remember even in Halo 2, when I was about around that age, there was a lot of the yelling 12-year-olds and stuff. It's definitely a very proven stereotype. Learned a lot of new words.
That and campers and hackers. That's what you run into a lot these days.
Yeah, I know. That's... Especially you have that one guy that's like really good with a sniper rifle, and then they just hunker down somewhere. That's the death of me in those games.
Especially or in the new game, or the new game I'm playing, War Thunder, you'll get pilot snipers.
Oh wow, interesting.
From people shooting you in the cockpit from like half a mile away with a friggin' like cannon round.
Dang, that sounds neat for sure. I had a friend who played a lot of War Thunder, but I'm not too big on it myself just because I really don't PC game. But yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Heck, 3 days ago I did a kind of a cool trick. We were on a domination match, and some fool had basically flown by me, shot my jet to pieces. I lost my engine. Thinking like, oh crap, where the hell am I going to land? Like, oh, there's one of our cats. Flew down there, absolutely no power, landed, but went too far past the airfield, literally made a U-turn, and capped the airfield within like 5 seconds left in the match.
Yeah.
What angel? What is it?
No, I know. That's yeah, World War II, I mean, there's a reason they keep making World War II games, just because it was so big and all-encompassing that, I mean, there's so much to plunder content-wise. I mean, especially, like, of course, our European friends, obviously the European theater was a big deal, but especially as a Californian, the Pacific War was massive for us. I mean, we were fighting over the entire Pacific Ocean, essentially, and, like, you read about some of these battles, and it's essentially like claiming a rock in 500 miles of nothing ocean on all sides. One of our most famous battles, Wake Island, was like that, where Wake Island is essentially just the rim of an undersea volcano or something like that. It's not that big at all. All these islands are maybe like, 20 square kilometers? But it's so essential. It's long enough for an airstrip, which was everything, and then usually they have a cutaway on one side so that... not ring, that so it's almost like a deep harbor. So it was just a major deal. And there's some great if you're ever in California, for instance, San Diego, the very south side of California, there's the USS Midway, which was made and named after Midway Island after the war. But everything on the ship itself, you can go on the ship, go in all the holds and all the walkways and stuff, and it's just one giant museum to the Pacific War and World War II. So,
man, you can go on the poop deck.
Yes, you can, and they got a lot of great planes up top, not just American planes, but like others as well. And yeah, of course, obviously, for everyone, all our followers especially know how much like is inspired by my time working on ships myself. So it's I've really tried to get across a lot of that in the Ice Mare also. All those fun things about the ladderways and the bridge and yeah, the lovey-dovey goodness. Especially too because the last two stories had sort of bad ends. I wanted to make sure this one had a much happier ending. And
actually, speaking of World War II museums, if anyone on here is ever in Yellens Valley and you're just past, like, north of Lone Pine, there's the Manzanar Museum.
Oh, yeah, Manzanar, yeah. I haven't been there myself, but I have heard of that.
Yeah, I haven't been there myself either, but one of these days I'm going to make it there.
I'm still trying to find an excuse or scenario when I'm in the central U.S. in Jackson, or I think it's Jackson, Missouri, or some place like that in like Mississippi Valley area. There's a World War I museum that's actually very big. I think at the time they just called it the Great War Museum, and but it's got like everything about the war from, of course, the American perspective and our battles and contributions. So it looks really cool, and I've seen a lot of pictures of it online. So I got to make it down there sometime.
Cool. Actually, speaking of that, this is kind of something interesting that I never knew, but almost every member of my family has been in one of these wars.
Yeah.
My great-great-great-grandfather was actually in World War I because I watched an old video that my aunt had actually cobbled together from an old, 8mm film from when my mom and my other aunt and my grandmother and grandfather were over in Europe when they were touring during one of my grandfather's off times from the Air Force. The Merchant Marines for the Second World War, then Air Force from Korea on to Vietnam.
Nice.
So yeah, any of those bases out there, he probably helped build, and probably my uncle helped to win some of those islands back because he was in the Marine Corps during World War II.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a major engagement.
He's told me, uncle's told me quite a few war stories of his time. Scary stuff.
Yeah, no, I actually had two of my grandfathers, my mom's dad's older brothers were they actually got drafted into World War I and died in World War I. So both of them only lived to, I think, 18 and 19 respectively. So that was yeah. Well, yes?
Someone in the chat is talking about apology messages.
I have no idea what that is. No.
Neither do I. What apology message?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. We're not sure about that. What do you guys think of describing any game that is difficult as Soul-like? I'd probably agree with that from what I've seen. Dark Souls is a very... the game is essentially just made to be hard. It's made to be grueling and working your way through all the dungeons and all the different scenarios. It's pretty much the antithesis of games I like. I like games where the difficulty is just ancillary and the game is about the story and the gameplay and stuff. But some people love that. That's why they play games. So I'm sure some people that's great. And it seems like if Bloodborne weren't so Souls-like, I definitely would have tried playing through that because it seems so fascinating with the whole world and the world building. But it's a little bit too hard for me. I'm very casual. So
I
have never played Dark Souls.
Neither have I, but the hardest game I've ever played has got to be Monster Hunters. And the game is hard.
Oh, interesting.
It's designed more for multiple people, and I mostly play by myself.
Yeah, I think probably just the most grueling game I ever played was was actually Forza Unleashed 2, which was the very, very terrible sequel to the actually okay Force Awakens Star Wars game. And it was just so poorly made in so many ways. And one of the ways is just like grinding through enemies. To be honest, the last two Halo games were a lot like that too. Halo 4 and 5, it's just like grinding enemies, and none of it feels really neat or inspired. Like Halo 3, of course, the Flood are always terrible and hard, but Halo 3 had a lot of good variety to the Flood, and it's like you felt successful when you conquered them. It didn't feel like just another check mark to work your way through a level, like the frickin' Wardens in Halo 5 felt. Ugh, terrible.
Yeah, those things were hard. Big time hard.
I see someone's mentioning Need for Speed Carbon. Yeah, that's another thing. Racing games? No, I'm like a little baby when it comes to racing games. The one I've ever played in any great amount, a lot, is it's called Arctic Thunder. It's an arcade game, so it's like whenever I'd be in an arcade, I'd do racing Arctic Thunder with my brother and friends. That was fun.
Oh, I'm thinking Hydro Thunder. Never mind.
Oh yeah, I've played Hydro Thunder too. That's fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Actually,
And I mean, those are fun because you're racing each other, but it's like when you have like time trials and other things like that, it's like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Phoenix, dude, I'm sorry, man, but like, just because something is easy for you doesn't mean it's easy for somebody else. Like, I can tell you that making a super complicated plushie is easy, and you would be like, I don't know how the fuck to do that. That's difficult. What's wrong with you? It's easy. Like, just because something's easy for you doesn't mean it's easy for everybody. You don't gotta be rude about it.
Yeah, it's no, I don't even honestly call myself a gamer at all, because I really don't play games. I play Fallout in great quantities because that's fun, and it's like, it's sort of just like relaxing nothing time for me. Like, you know, you use that to veg and just to like get away from things and chill for a while. But it's like, except a little Fallout and Halo, I really don't play any other video games. It's like I'll dabble in something else if I'm like at a friend's house and we play a little Destiny or a little Wolfenstein or something. But that's it.
Oh, Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the new.
Yeah, new Colossus coming.
It's gonna be good.
It should be fun. Oh, my favorite part was the trailer. I really loved some of the marketing. Bethesda's really good about marketing, and that first what was it, House of the Rising Sun, but the German Berlin version trailer. That was really neat. It was a really great way to set up the alternate history scenario. So,
oh yeah,
I actually almost think they did that better than Man in the High Castle, because although the Man in the High Castle opening is really cinematic and very cool looking, it doesn't really explain much, especially for a series that is a bit screwy and complicated with the universe swapping and everything.
Right.
Yeah, it was all right though. Man in the High Castle season 2 was still fun, mainly because you got to see a lot more in Berlin, in the Reich itself, which is kind of neat. So yeah, MMOs I suck at. Anything like that. Like I dabbled in RTSs as a kid too. Like what was it? Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which was a very old RTS. I think it came out in like 2001. And a friend of mine had a copy he gave me, so I played that for a little while. But yeah, no, it's at the end of the end of the day, games are fun. It's like don't play it if you don't actually enjoy playing it, unless you're like trying to get good enough for some kind of competitive game, I guess. Like you're in South Korean and you want to become StarCraft champ, because that's big money. I mean, some of those guys are like career professional StarCraft players, which is so cool. I like that we live in a reality where that's a thing, but it's like it's not going to be me, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was a cool episode of a show called Bull, where it dealt with professional gamers and everything.
Yeah, it's I remember as a kid, you know, we had G4 channel. We finally got like Cable Plus with Comcast, and so I watched a lot of G4 in probably probably the golden age of G4, like the Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb era, when is good interesting shows. And I'm not even sure if G4 is still a channel anymore, actually.
Yeah, it's gone. They were taken over by that Esquire network, which now seems to be gone too.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't heard of Esquire in ages either. Oh man, that's yeah, I mean, we're definitely in the age of transition for television, which is great. Like, we're getting more online variants. You've got the Netflixes, of course, but like HBO is going through its own evolutions. And I think it's actually a really good age for like cinematic storytelling. I love the fact that like the cinematic, like big approaches of movies are moving into television. So you have the Game of Thrones and the Westworld type shows and a lot of these other shows too, like House of Cards or Man in the High Castle on Amazon, because it's like, it shouldn't just be limited to movies. Like if you can bring that kind of production quality to an episodic series, that's great. Because at least my impression of like standard television these days is it's just one stupid reality show or one stupid cop show after another, and I hate both of those. Oh gosh. Yeah, so we have a lot of good things coming out here soon. I know James and I are both working on the next big batch of Wasteland Survival Guide, so we'll have a little bit of a lull because we're fresh off of Confessions production, and also Terminal Secrets 4 is on the way. I know James isn't here right now, but I'll let you guys know that's getting closer. They have everything together. They're just, getting it lined up and getting the finishing touches, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks that'll drop too. And then after that, as we go into full production for Confession 7 and Terminal Secret 6, we'll have more Wasteland Survival Guides just trickling down. We have a lot more chapters for sure. That thing's going to be quite the beefy book for sure.
Sweet. Looking forward to it.
And yeah, of course, other like standalone like one-off things, and potentially another like little series that might be coming out down the road. We'll keep everyone updated, of course. And of course, we have another Fallout Day song around the corner. We're almost at Fallout Day, and it's gonna be fun. I think people really enjoy the one this year. It's very
cool.
It's very narrative. It figures into everything else, which I hope people enjoy. So
Sweet. Oh, and also, Sky, loved the Paint My Stripes song. That one was really good that you did.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah. No, when I of course, when I first started doing all that, it was just to try to convert all of the Fallout sort of Pit-Boy songs into a Fallout Equestria context and variant. And, I'm kind of good at that kind of music, so I have fun just singing it for myself if no one likes it. But yeah, and then for this, because I wanted to do this sort of Vietnam era, like kind of questioning the military kind of story, it's Vietnam songs felt very appropriate, so I thought I'd do Paint It Black, which and that's actually the original Paint It Black instrumental too, which is strange because it's like it's not the full version that everyone's familiar with, where you have that big instrumental bridge and then they break into another chorus for the ending, which I wish it were, but it's like there are some karaoke versions that have the full length, but I'm like, you can't not have the original instrumental if that exists somewhere. So I just cut it down a little bit. Because that was always my favorite Stone song, especially. I love Paint It Black. We're going way the heck back to like the Guitar Hero days when I was first really getting into older music again.
Fucking Guitar Hero, man.
Oh man, Guitar Hero was my jams. I mean, that hit like the full zeitgeist of the guitar console games. That was right when I was a junior in high school. So it's like junior and senior year was so fun playing those at parties with friends. Like every Christmas party, we'd break it out at some point, or like pool party when everyone had dried off and come back inside. That was God, I miss those days. That was good times.
Actually, they had an arcade version of that game at the local pizza factory for a while. I actually played it. Got pretty good.
They did. Can you believe how much they weighted the guitars to make sure people didn't steal it? Like, holy cow. Those things were like a solid metal core.
Yeah.
I mean, a little
That
like,
is-
you know, 3-foot whatever guitar was heavier than like real full-size guitars.
Yeah. Best song I played on that one was, I do believe, "Rock and Roll All Night" by Kiss.
Oh,
That's probably the best
yeah.
one.
Yeah, Kiss. It's classic. I think the most difficult song I ever played with any, like, real competence is, God, I'm trying to remember now. I know I played a lot of, Thunder Horse, of course, because I was also getting into, Metalocalypse at the time. So it was all, Death Clock. Yeah. Yeah, that was
Cool.
good times. So that was its own little era of gaming that came and gone. I'm not sure what the future will be, because I know for a good, you know, the last 2 years, they were really trying to hammer and make VR a thing, but kind of predictably, I didn't think VR would really be a thing. I think it's going to be a thing only in very unique contexts, like amusement parks, of course. They're going to integrate the new VR technology into a whole bunch of rides and stuff to make you know, an easy experience that they don't have to build a lot of animatronics for, which I think will also be short-lived, because that's part of the fun of an amusement park, is you've got all the big, you know, the big set pieces and animatronics. So I don't know. I think, honestly, I think of it like the Wii or the early Kinect. It's a transition technology that I think is going to move on to something else.
I
I don't know.
played
They
my
may-
friend's VR.
Oh, yeah?
I spent like a good 2 hours playing the Rick and Morty game,
Nice.
and then after that, I played a game called Superhot, which is like, it's a really cool game because the way the mechanics work is you are trying to kill people. It's like a shoot 'em up, but like you have different ways to kill them, like knives and shit. But everything only moves when you move.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, neat.
So it's really cool because, like, you feel like a ninja.
You know what I think VR would be perfect for? Like, and again, it might just be another, like, you know, legacy 90s thing for me, but it's like a good laser tag course. Like, what if everyone had not necessarily VR goggles, but AR, augmented reality goggles, where you're wearing them so you see the course, so you're not tripping and dying, but it layers on like you know, digital ghosts or something, like a whole lot of like simulated enemies, and when you fire your laser rifle, it does still work and kill them too. So you're like, you can play real people running around the course, and you can also kill these digital ghosties that keep popping up on screen.
That sounds really cool.
This is, of course, coming from my days growing up. We had literally a chain of laser tag places called QZAR. I'm not sure if anyone else still remembers them, but we had a whole bunch of QZARs around where I was growing up before they disappeared in like the early 2000s. But as another, remember the 90s? I remember the 90s. So
Actually, one VR game I'd love to try. I've seen it previewed and played on Rogue One VR. Basically, like a prequel to the movie.
a prequel
where
to
you
the
literally,
movie.
yeah, where you literally fly an X-wing. You can look around.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Wing.
You know, I'll be honest, one of the best Star Wars games of all time was Star Wars Arcade. And especially in the day and age, like, you know, I remember playing that at, like, Chuck E. Cheese for freaking hours, that big Star Wars arcade box. And, you know, you go through all of the original trilogy, the major set pieces, like in the Battle of Hoth and Yavin 4. That was a fun game. I loved that.
Well, yeah, I played it once all the way from beginning to end. Must have cost me like 10, 15.
It was also the same era, but they had a pod racer game that was actually really fun too. That was arguably one of my favorite parts of the freaking Phantom Menace. Was just I always love that kind of like speeder like in speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi. Same thing. I love that kind of like chase scene. So I like the pod racers, and they had a pod racer type arcade box too, where it was the same functionality, where you controlled it with the varying thrusts of each handle, and you had like I think they had like weapon buttons and stuff, or like a boost button, and it was just as hazardous. You know, you're going through all these like thin canyons, and I had a lot of fun with that. That was a cool game.
Yeah, fun times at the arcade.
Yeah, I know. It's I got to get out of this nostalgia pocket now. Let's see here. I feel like I can't let the behind the scenes go to waste. So oh, another thing with the Pinkin things, because of course I'm pulling all of this out of real life inspirations. ELF, the extremely low frequency, that's actually a real thing. That's a kind of submarine communication that existed for a while in the Cold War, but both Russia and the U.S. ended up giving up on it because it wasn't quite necessary. You don't have to go into like deep, extremely low frequency like communication, because like literally you can almost talk to the whole planet with it. It's such a low hertz frequency that it's very small data amounts, so you can only send like essentially Morse code with it, but it can go so far. I think like 7,000 miles in all directions. So it's like there's a big antenna complex in Australia that they had built for like the entire South Pacific region, and there was a transmitter that they were trying to build in Wisconsin. But the other problem they were really worried about was the effect on local like animals and population, because it made this like hum that everyone said they could hear. It was like chattering in their teeth. So that's why that whole scene of Freezy going up the mountain toward the transmitter, and then like, you know, just her neck being set on edge and everything until she got inside the room. That was it was what I was trying to get across. Like a neat little like facet of history.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, so if you're interested at all, read up about submarine communication. It's very, very fascinating field in like communication technology.
There was a reason why a bunch of whales were beaching themselves.
Yes, that's another concern that they had. It was messing with that kind of wildlife. So,
the whales.
Learn something new every day. Yeah, and then of course the surprise, the character reveal. Of course, not new to Confessions. That was actually, you know, a very stereotypical set piece of the original. Was that microphone and the reveal of Emerald Fields at the end of the first one. But with this one, I thought, you know, it'd be much better to have that reveal followed up with a good amount of time talking to that character. And so James and I had actually made a little bit of a deal, whereas like if I could be one of the characters in the original Terminal Secrets, which ended up being freaking Lugnut, that James could be a part of Confessions somewhere. And I was like, you know, I have this crossover already planned for the episode, and I actually already have a male character for a surprise bit at the end. And yeah, no, I thought he actually did a really great job as Chrysanthemum. You know why he was named Chrysanthemum? In general, he was supposed to be a quote unquote Japanese character. He's supposed to be very, you know, family and honor and everything. But that's it goes back to, you know, Japanese-Chinese rivalry, and the main enemy in the Fallout games is the Chinese. So of course the Japanese would be on the good side, and so yeah, that's where that came from, because the chrysanthemum is the big Japanese imperial seal and whatnot. Very big part of the culture.
Cool.
And then, that was another hint, of course, was then the nickname. So, you know, Frozen Peaks being nicknamed Freezy and Chrysanthemum being nicknamed Chris, that was another hint to the later reveal of Pinkin, because Pinkin was short for Pink Pippin. So, all these, you know, all these little things I tried to lay down for people to see. I really hope, you know, one person might have thought, you know, beforehand, but I'm not sure exactly how big our audience is. I try to track numbers in various ways, besides like views you can't really go off of, because it's like you listen or watch for 10 minutes, and then I assume they download it and listen to the rest, you know, from their music player later. So that's usually what I pay attention to, and it's incredible, actually. We have almost 1,000 downloads of every episode now, so it's pretty awesome. We love our fans.
Sometimes.
Yeah, most of the time. We love our fans. Yeah, it was that was good. I was glad to finally bring another happy ending, because of course all the originals did have happy endings, but the two recent really big ones did have a very serious, bittersweet ending, and it's interesting tracking that reaction too. So of course after that, then some people are like, "Oh, it wasn't quite as emotional because it had a good ending," versus the people from the last episode who were upset that it was another bad ending. So I try to keep people guessing. That's ultimately what I'm doing as an experiment as a writer, was to make sure that it's, something fresh and different for, good reveals or well-timed, surprises. So everyone feels like they got something out of listening to it that isn't totally predictable.
Oh yeah, I can never figure out what's going to happen at the ending on these when I listen to them.
Yeah, so especially with the Ranger, where you have one death, which is really sad, and then right away you're like, oh no, he died too. And that big reveal at the end. Oh my gosh! So
Skybolt is secretly George R.R. Martin.
I wish I were that successful, that's for sure. He actually did some TV first. Game of Thrones was just his way to have his own big super story that he thought originally couldn't be adapted to screen or anything. But he did a lot of TV writing going back to the 80s. He was part of I want to say the Twilight Zone 80s, the new series, which had a really weird opening, but I kind of liked it. It was very 80s, and yeah, he did a lot of episodes there, and he's done a lot of scattered TV. Which is why when they actually then turned his famous epic series into TV shows, they usually had him screenwrite one of the big episodes. So either the big battle episode at the end or whatever it is. Although it's always the 9th episode of a season was big for Game of Thrones. That was the Battle of the Bastards, or the Battle of Blackwater Bay, or the frickin' Red Wedding is always the 9th episode. So you gotta remember that. And then the 10th episode is more like an epilogue for the season and building up for whatever the next season's gonna be. Did Rob Zombie direct an episode of CSI? That sounds amazing.
He did.
I want to see that, actually. Yeah,
Rob Zombie has directed a lot of TV, surprisingly.
Interesting.
He's a very good writer.
Yeah, no, I actually do like his Halloween remakes from a couple years ago. I know not everyone did, but I thought they were neat. They were interesting.
Actually, Rob Zombie was on Space Ghost Coast to Coast once.
Oh, really? Oh, that sounds fun, too.
They actually had him and Randy Savage on at the same time.
Yeah, if you're talking about, like showrunners, key creative influences, Cartoon Network would be nothing without, what's his first name? I think it's Mike Lazo. He is, he's like the, I almost said Guy Fieri. Damn it! Who's the Marvel guy? What if the Marvel guys his name is? He's like that for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. Just the main creative production force that kept the channel going. Which unfortunately it started to waver in recent years. But yeah, that guy, man. So all of the great hallmarks of Adult Swim, which in a lot of ways is almost the successor of old MTV, 80s MTV was that way too. And
what the hell are you talking about? He's not dead.
No, not dead. I'm saying the network is faltering.
No, Phoenix is Rob Zombie's dead. Fuck are you talking about, bitch?
Yeah, I think he's only
Rob Zombie's not dead.
He's not that old for sure.
He's not, and I would have been broken up about that because I grew up watching Rob Zombie movies and listening to his music. Rob Zombie's not fucking dead. He just released a movie last year.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? So
yeah.
It could be he's dead in the sense that he's a zombie.
Actually, one of his crazy songs, came close to giving me nightmares that night because I was coming home with my friend after playing D&D. It was 1 in the morning. It was something about Alice or something or other, but it was creepy because it was a song and it had fake newscasts in the middle of it. And this is 1 in the morning. we're driving through the forest part, and it's just like, okay, this is getting creepy as hell.
Oh, neat. He gave you like the Orson Welles treatment, where it's like where they thought War of the Worlds was real, or some people theoretically did.
Yeah, sort of thing. And then the weekend after that, he basically screamed bloody murder at me while we were coming home because he was trying to keep himself awake.
Oh, fun. Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
Fun fact. Do you want to hear a fun fact?
Yeah.
That myth that goes around that says that he actually caused a panic. It's not true.
Yeah, I've heard that was actually more buzz after the fact. It was just to whip up like marketing, essentially.
Yeah, it was a marketing ploy, and like most people didn't even listen to it. Like it wasn't even that popular of a show.
Yeah, it was a very localized, like New York broadcast, I think.
But they decided to tell everybody that it caused a panic to try to whip up some more.
That's clever.
Some more.
It's so clever.
Listen, yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, whenever I think Rob Zombie, I just have the Dragula beat just in the background. It's almost like a freaking it's almost like a theme song at this point. Yeah, and especially these days because it's like oh, you know what I just saw last night? Circling back to the very beginning, we talked. We always kind of talk. H.P. Lovecraft, the new Void movie that it's on Netflix now. That sort of indie movie, but holy cow, that's like a real successor to The Thing in terms of that really solid practical effect kind of like Lovecraftian monsters. That was a really good movie. If you haven't seen The Void, that was fun. That was a really good time.
Okay, got it on my list.
Yeah.
Look that up.
Yeah, I'm slowly building a list. And this, in a way, this kind of goes back to the fact that like a lot of Lovecraft stuff isn't in copyright. It's still public domain because when it was written. So you have all these different creators. You have Guillermo del Toro then bringing a lot of Lovecraftian type monsters into the first Hellboy movie. And I mean, heck, The Thing from the 80s, the popular one. And that whole trilogy, I think it's called like his Apocalypse trilogy. There's a lot of movies. It's like, you think, what if some scumbag who owned the rights, like, through Publisher's House or whatever, he's like, oh, you can't make that movie. It's like, how many great stories would we have been deprived of? Like, a lot of early Batman stuff was Lovecraft influence. I mean, the whole Arkham Asylum is based off Arkham, Massachusetts, like his fictional city or whatever, and yeah, it's just like we'd be deprived of so much unique fiction. Like, I mean, a lot of people might argue that it's like, derivative or it's like, not original, quote unquote. But it's like, I mean, originality is it's not absolute. I mean, so many ideas are recycled over and over again in one way or another because there are limits of conventional storytelling and things like that. I mean, how many modern romantic comedies are just Shakespeare stories, for instance? And, so many Shakespeare stories are just based on old, like, other English tales, like, Henry VIII or the frickin' War of the Roses inspiring. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a more sensible reining in of copyright would actually produce a much bigger blossoming of creative works. And I think it would be a much better age for people, like, that are sick of just Hollywood movies that are, very insular remakes, literal remakes, and then some stuff thrown in to get into the Chinese market. Because that's all Hollywood is these days, is remake a movie, put in 25% Chinese stuff so the Chinese let you sell it in their country, and then, yay, current year. So, I don't know.
Actually, speaking of kind of remakes, they kind of did a good remake on the vampire thing from The Strain. That's really good and almost kind of Lovecraftian with it as well.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I haven't actually watched Strain, but from what I've heard, it seems very, very interesting.
It's good. It's intense. I mean, extremely intense.
Yeah, I've got to give that another chance at some point. I'm actually, it's funny. Right now, I'm going through some of Netflix and Hulu. Actually added a whole bunch of great stuff. I'm not sure if it's just for the summer or it's just stuff that I'm interested in. But I saw that Netflix finally released their Death Note movie, which I'm sure everyone hates. But I'm going through the original Death Note series now, and I actually never
I've
knew
heard
what.
mixed reviews about it.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard it's really good and they did a good job at making it its own thing. And I've heard, like, they changed a lot of stuff and, the purists don't like it.
Naturally.
I'm taking it as its own thing. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to take it as its own thing and not as like a canon Death Note universe, because it's based in Seattle.
Oh,
like
it's a little bit different.
It's a little bit different. So if you take it as 100% supposed to be Death Note, like the original, then I'm pretty sure you're going to be disappointed. But if you take it as hey, this is a remake, like an American remake based in Seattle, then yeah, you're not going to be disappointed.
You know what I think of that, and this is probably heresy to say, but I grew up on a lot of the old Godzilla movie dubs from 70s and 80s, like
Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira versus Biollante or King Ghidorah or all that good stuff. But then when they made that Americanized version in the 90s, I enjoyed that as well in its own way. Like I didn't think of it in the same way I thought of those Gojira movies that I'd watch, but it was neat in its own context. So I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that's the important thing. If you're doing something like that, is just make sure it's good in its own context. Otherwise, you're just gonna screw it up for everybody. You're not gonna have a fan base like the freaking Last Airbender movie.
That was so bad
because it was bad in its own context. Unless you're like 6, whatever.
Like, my dad took me and my brothers to go see it because he knew that we liked the show.
Yeah.
And then we watched it, and he's like, oh, it was really good. I liked it. And my brothers and I were just like, no. No.
Yeah.
That was shit.
Yeah.
Actually, did you hear that they're actually combining that Godzilla universe along with the Kong universe as well?
Yeah, I've heard that with the new ones.
But that's a thing already, though. Like, Godzilla versus King Kong is a thing already.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes sense. But the shit that they put out with the Avatar movie, I mean, no sense.
Yeah. That was sad. That was very sad.
Yeah.
Sad day for a lot of 10-year-olds.
A lot of hardcore Avatar fans. Yeah, the what were we just talking about before that? Was Godzilla. I don't remember. Gojira. Monster movies. I also finally saw the 80s Blob, and someone mentioning George Romero. It was actually this movie Monkey Shines, another just random other non-zombie movie he made, because he tried his hand in a lot of different monsters too. Like he had a vampire movie that Red Letter Media just reviewed called I forget what it was called, like Teeth or Fangs or something. And
wait, with the vagina?
No, not that. That wasn't
That's
George Romero. That is Teeth. I'm sorry.
You're like, oh god.
That's a whole.
What have I done?
That's a whole different story. The dentition.
Vagina dentata.
Yeah, everyone making an ex-girlfriend joke right now? Okay. It's a success. Yeah, so good times. So I'm hoping in all my future travels that I'll get a chance to get a lot of writing done this next month, but we'll see. It's definitely a different context than my old travels from Virginia, because Virginia I had 2 hours to sit in an airport terminal and then 6 hours of flying, and then, both ways. But this context is more like I'm flying for an hour somewhere, just like barely outside of driving range, and then it's a work trip. So no idea. I'm hoping I'll get some writing done, though, because I still got to get to Confession 7 crap, too, which, for anyone that did audition that also happens to be listening right now, I have your auditions. We haven't gotten the chance to really get through them yet because of all the other productions. So we will consider them as soon as the time comes. Thank you very much for those.
Yeah. I tried out for a couple of those myself, too.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think Terminal Secrets, they had their big run, and then there will probably be another set of auditions for that for Terminal Secrets 5 and stuff, too. So definitely look out for that.
Do I get to help with those this time?
I don't know. Ask James. It's his show.
Then if I ask James, he'll say yes. So yes.
Yeah, no, I mean he runs that show, so yeah, whatever he says.
Wait, which James? Kelly or Vermont?
I guess, well, Vermont for being the showrunner, but yeah, Kelly matters too because he's the main audio engineer for that.
Nah. Kelly doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding. Kelly, you matter.
Yeah.
If you're listening, I'm sorry. You matter. I doubt you're listening because you've like fallen off the face of the earth. Oh shit! That reminds me, I got shit I got to record for him.
There you go.
I gotta redo a couple of lines for Butterfly for Terminal Secrets.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was really happy with how Hunger came out. I'm excited for my next and final episode of that. That's gonna be fun. I have a loose outline, but I gotta like start putting real hardcore characterization in now. Oh, so yeah, we're getting closer to the end of our Pillar series, and we'll see what happens next year with all those.
Cool.
We still ultimately have I guess a quote-unquote 2-year plan going, kind of wrap everything by the end of 2018, but we'll see what happens. Oh, also in like a month or so, we have My Little Pony movie coming out, so shoot, we'll have to see that and definitely talk about it.
Can't wait.
That's October 6th, I think, so I'll probably try to find a good midnight showing somewhere and just pop in by myself.
I'll show up at any of my little theaters here in Bishop.
Oh God, yeah, I'll have to look to see if there's like brony meetups or something because I don't know any bronies in my direct area anymore, so that'd be fun.
Same for me.
I'm sure I'll have to actually pay attention to Equestria Daily. They might probably have like a meetup map or something.
I'm probably just gonna like go to Seattle and meet up with the bronies up there because some of the bronies here in Portland are fucking cringy.
Okay. Hey, Needle, do you have any recommendations for Ashland? I'm going to be in Ashland like next week.
What?
Anything to see or do in Ashland beyond what I already know?
Ashland, Oregon?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. If anything pops up, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Though, if you're ever in the Portland area, please hit me up.
Oh,
like,
for sure. No, unfortunately, we're
be
not
like,
going...
Needle, I have like 3 hours. Let's go get lunch.
Absolutely. No, unfortunately, we're not going that far north. We're sort of doing like a road trip through some like Northern California like mountains, me and some friends. So we're stopping by Ashland for a night for hotel and such.
We'll see how it is. I'm not cool enough to be a friend.
No, we literally don't have enough time or gas money to go
joking.
all the way far up there.
Joking.
Because you know what my plan was? If we actually could, because eventually we'd like to do a road trip all the way up to Vancouver and back, which would be a long trip. But there's a great aerospace museum in, I think it's called the Everest, in like halfway in Oregon. And we want to stop there to see the Spruce Moose, damn it, Howard Hughes plane is there, but we won't have a chance, so. Someday soon, we'll make it happen. And next year, I'll actually have disposable money and time again, so hopefully we can make more than just I can make more than just the one con. So maybe I can join Needle up for Everfree and stuff, too. That would be really sweet.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, I gotta put in a panel for Everfree.
Yeah, we should. Well, I know we're definitely taking the approach of submit panels, and then anyone that comes back, then we can, consider it. But, yeah.
Oh, did I tell you we got a panel accepted?
Oh, really? For where?
High Roller PonyCon.
Oh, sweet. When is that again?
Yeah, the guy was like, so the head of the con, he's a huge fan of blackjack, okay?
Ooh.
And I have been doing some blackjack voice work.
Nice.
So I was joking with him. I was like, hey, I'm going to steal the con's mascot because she's super cute and I want to cosplay her. And he's like, no, you can't have her. She's mine. And I'm like, but she's super cute, though. And he goes, no, you can't. I was like, fine, then you can't have blackjack. And he's like, no, fuck you. Who gave you the authority? And then my friend Indy was like, she voices Blackjack. And he's like, what? Yeah. Where's your panel? Why don't you have a panel? You need a panel. And I was like, well, I applied for 2. And he's like, who the fuck runs panel? Give this girl a panel. I was like, it's me now. I run panels. I get my own panel. He goes, no, you do security. You can't do panels. I was like,
do both,
fine. And then eventually he gets back to me. He goes, okay, so I looked at your applications, and it looks like the plushie panel will probably be good for like Saturday morning, and then the Followed Equestria panel, since I do agree that it should probably stay PG-13, as long as you guys can keep it PG-13, you can have it for Saturday night.
Ooh.
Nice.
So not only was I given both of the panels that I applied for, but I was given prime time.
That is pretty good time.
For both of those panels.
Sweet.
Oh God, we'll have to make that work then. That's Vegas, right? So I should be able to make that work, depending on the time.
Oh.
If it doesn't work out, I'm going to be there at the very least,
yeah,
so you can give me a PowerPoint and I can run it.
Yeah, we'll make sure you guys have plenty of supplies.
Oh man, Vegas isn't that far away from me.
Damn, when the hell is that again?
July. June.
Oh, next June?
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, we should easily be able to make that. I can plan for that. That's going to be a good time. We'll open up with my freaking 99 Problem song, because why not? Man, that freaking took off. That was a just random thing that took off. Yeah, no, that'll be a good time then. We'll have a lot more out. I mean, by that point, we should be hopefully fresh off the release of Confessions 8. We'll see, knock on wood, but or priming up for it. So that'll be a good time. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. Okay, that's definitely on the plan then. Anyone who's
I have a shit ton of Vegas points. Like, I play this game and it gives you rewards points to go actually use in Vegas.
Nice.
I have a shit ton of those, so if you and I want to go gamble or go do something, we could go do something.
Oh, we could do tons of things.
Just be like, I am bored and gonna go ditch my duties. We're gonna go ride that giant indoor roller coaster. Bye!
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do that yet. That's in the Bellagio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I have discount tickets on them.
Oh, we'll definitely plan, and we'll make it a good Vegas time. Because I love Vegas. I'll be there at one of my trips in the next month too, and I'm just so excited to go back to frickin' the Stratosphere and eat at the Top of the World restaurant. That's a good place.
Cool.
Also, anyone, if you're in Vegas, Planet Hollywood, their mile circle or whatever, it's like their big mall. In the Planet Hollywood casino, they have the Spice Market buffet. That's one of the best buffets in Vegas, in my opinion. So, just a little FYI. Oh God, that's gonna be a good time. Yes, next June, I can easily set that aside from work. I'm gonna take a look and put in that way ahead of time. That's gonna be a good time. We're gonna really make that a big thing for sure.
I'm gonna try and make that one if I can. I'm gonna have to save up a lot.
Oh fuck yeah, that's gonna be great, guys. All right, I'm excited now. Got that. We got at least one more BabsCon. Maybe Everfree. Maybe EQLA, if they have that next year.
I know the guy who runs panels for Everfree, so I could just be like, Simul, please.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we got our start with Stable Tech, so, I mean, why not? That would be a nice homecoming, in a way. Oh,
actually,
man, next year's going to be freaking great, you guys.
Have to work for it. I might actually have to work for it a little bit.
That's fine. No, we'll keep talking. We'll make that work. Stay tuned, Stable Dwellers. We never came up with a good name. I'd just go with Wastelanders because we can't. Stable Dwellers was a very Stable Tech thing, and there's
Citizens of Post-Apocalyptia.
That's true. There's not like a really direct corollary with EAST Corp because most of EAST Corp is dead. It's all robots now. my fellow Sentinel droids. So okay.
Oh,
yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Oakheart recently just put up an EAST Corp amino. So if you guys are a part of the amino app, feel free to join us.
Yeah, she seems to really be into that. So yeah, hopefully she's enjoying running that. I hear her talk about it a lot. I have no idea what amino actually is. So there you go.
It's just like this little community thing. Basically, it's where people can meet up within certain communities and talk about certain things. So, like, there's an Equestria amino that's dedicated to just MLP.
Horse people.
It's mostly like the PG version
of
all of the MLP stuff.
Yeah.
There's also a couple of different followed Equestria aminos. There's now the EAST Corp amino, where I will be posting pictures of the plushies once I get them.
Yay!
Cool.
And then Skybolt, once I finish, we can sit down and we can talk.
Yeah, let me know, because I would, if you have the spare parts, I would like a Battered Blade plushie. That would be super awesome.
Mm-hmm. I will definitely have the spare parts for 2 extras, because one of them is obviously claimed.
Of course.
And then the other 2 are up for grabs. So if you want them, or if the chick who voices Battered Blade wants one, she is more than welcome to have one.
I will message her about that. Yeah, she might be interested. Yeah. Oh man, freaking I Am Shadow. She's been dependable for years.
She made my character one day.
I can't thank her enough for that. She stuck around. She keeps coming back for all these little bit parts. I mean, I almost honestly enjoyed the Battered Blade bits in the Ice Mare the most. I had a lot of great opportunities just for her to have a little quip, like, you know, complaining about the stupid battle wave. She's like, old world bullshit. It sounds like something stupid they'd come up with. Or getting her perspective on getting impaled. It's she did a great job with that.
If she doesn't want it, like, it's good for me to take to cons as just a, hey,
that's true too.
Look,
it's good advertising.
Promo.
Oh my gosh. No, it's gonna be a good time. Oh, I'm excited now. That got me going, because I was afraid it was like within this year, like, you know, in the next month or 2 when I couldn't do it. But no, if it's that far out, I could absolutely plan for it.
Oh yeah, it's in June.
Yeah.
Oh,
do my best to try and get.
It's gonna be a good time, you guys. We're gonna really ring in 2018 before the bombs drop. Okay, well, we made it all the way to 2 hours despite a valley in the middle. So, does anyone have any other questions on Confession 6? I probably won't advertise it, but probably whatever the next episode that I'm on, there may or may not be spoilers, depending on if we actually talk about it. But otherwise, we'll probably wrap up then.
Ready?
Excuse me.
Let's.
I gotta go try to wash my clothes again. Restart the laundry machine and see what
Hopefully it won't explode this time.
There was a towel in there, so I think that threw it off balance probably. Okie dokie. Well then, yeah, be excited, everyone, and we have like I said, in the works, hopefully Terminal Secrets within the next month, and a whole bunch of stuff after that, and yeah, we will talk to you all later.
There.
And